What if AI could remember your entire life, improve its own code, and control robots? These are some of the hottest AI startups in 2026 and the tech that could power the next wave of artificial intelligence. Let's start with Hark, who's looking to build an AI companion that is your day-to-day life coach. They're not looking to be just any other chatbot, but can remember your life, your habits, be proactive without being prompted. The core difference is around what they remember. To reduce context windows, OpenAI usually starts a new session each time. Hark, on the other hand, aims to maintain a persistent long-term memory, which they hope feels more personal. And they hope to launch soon. Hark expects to release its first multimodal model this summer, which it says will power a personal AI platform that works with existing products. They're building models and hardware, which can be a bit risky because there's the chance that you get spread a bit too thin and you don't do one thing well. Now, it does feel like we're moving towards this always-on, always-present AI models, which are always listening to what people are saying around them, which does come with some privacy and security concerns. For example, those being recorded are not always fans of being recorded without necessarily being aware of it. Google Glasses had this problem. To some degree, Meta and the Ray-Bans have this challenge as well. Hark's raised around $700 million at a $6 billion valuation, which is one of the biggest Series A rounds this year. The next is Recursive Superintelligence. They are building AI to improve AI. Now, their idea is pretty simple. Today, humans design AI architectures, write algorithms, run experiments to generate the models. Recursive wants AI to take over parts of that process. Also, their view is that current LLMs are hitting diminishing returns, where adding more data and compute produces smaller improvements. Instead, they think the next leap towards AGI is around recursive self-improvement. So they think that the fastest path to superintelligence will be realized by AI that recursively improves itself, and does so via open-ended algorithms that drive endless innovation. They raised $650 million at a $4 billion valuation. They have some relatively good pedigree in terms of the founders themselves. They're former researchers from DeepMind, OpenAI, Google Brain, and Meta. Now, if they're successful, where AI can improve AI, this could dramatically accelerate scientific research, AI development, and much more. Now, you're starting to see more well-funded frontier models being developed in Europe. So you obviously have this startup that is based in Europe, but you have Advanced Machine Intelligence, which is Jan LeCun, who used to be at Meta. His startup just raised some big money as well. So it's interesting and compelling and probably good to see a bit more competition coming from Europe. All right, let's move to robots. Generalist AI is building a model that works across various types of robots. Now, as the name suggests, they're having more of a generalist approach to building out this model, essentially a model that can work in different robots for various tasks and responsibilities. They want robots that can learn tasks by watching demonstrations or receiving instructions relatively quickly, so they can learn the tasks pretty swiftly themselves. And they've had some good early signs. The company's latest model, Gen 1, released in April, is designed to handle dexterous physical tasks with 99% reliability across diverse assignments and at speeds up to 3 times faster than prior benchmarks. Now, I think robotic AI is the next wave of AI. In the same way that ChatGPT took over the world 4 or 5 years ago, I think the next 3 to 4 years will be pretty well dominated, or at least heavily influenced by robots and their version, how they use AI in both an enterprise and business sense, but also in our homes and in consumers' lives. The challenge is there's just not that much data. If you think about it, ChatGPT had thousands of books, if not millions of books, to train its model and tweak it accordingly. There's just less physical videos for Generalist AI and others to then build out their models and improve it. Now, that is changing quite a bit. I've seen a ton of startups get funding that are building out video sets and data sets that can then be used by robotic companies to develop their own models. Sadly, what they do is they often mount a camera on one of the person's head and they watch them as they might be opening a box or bolting on a screw or something like that. Now, there are a high number of robots today. Think about auto assembly lines, but they operate with a very special or specific purpose. Maybe there's like 3 or 5 things that they do, but they're not as dynamic or as diverse as what Generalist AI is hoping to do. For them, it's not just about robots in factories, but ones that can be used in homes and hospitals and shops, anything that has a more broader sense of use. They want to be building that for robots. They just raised around $400 million at a valuation of around $2 billion. And I've got to say, I think this part of the startup world is only going to get a lot more money going forward. Now let's move on to Hark. They're AI for restaurant drive-thrus. They're replacing traditional ordering systems that you're probably quite accustomed to. They claim they can understand some of the trickier parts, for example, natural speech, accents, and even interruptions. There's also a revenue angle where they claim they can better upsell customers onto more expensive packages. They even claim to have around a 5% uplift via their system and their AI. Now, it's strangely good timing for this type of model with a very quick response. They're called interaction models and they've taken off recently. For example, OpenAI with GPT Live just announced they had a similar model. Thinking Machines Lab, Mira Murati, again, formerly ex-CTO of OpenAI, they developed a recent model that had a very quick response time that can adapt very fluidly to people's speech. So It's one that's in very high demand of late. Now, it's a much smaller funding of around 11 million, not nearly the same size as some of these other companies on the list. I think the reason why I care about this so much, it's not a frontier model or anything that's groundbreaking, but I think it's a really good intersect between AI and high demand customers. If it's great and it's accurate, people won't care. I don't think they really care if it's an AI or if they can even tell. But if it's wrong, I think people will lose their minds. You'll see a ton of videos online about drive-through orders looping or just going offline, some type of challenges like that. So high risk, modest reward potentially if done right. Now, this has been tried before. Taco Bell is expanding this into more and more of their stores. McDonald's tried it and then rolled back and now is trying a new version of it as well. There are huge operational improvements from this. Obviously, there's big labor costs they can reduce by having AI take over this part of a drive-through. So I see why they're willing to put a bit of R&D costs. These big companies are willing to put some R&D costs behind it. But if they can handle a hangry customer with good accuracy and maybe even upsell them, then I think they're in a relatively good position to grow. Next is Neo. They just came out of stealth and they focus on cybersecurity for AI agents. Agentic workflows have accelerated a lot in 2026. They help make companies' operations scalable and efficient by having these agents complete tasks and responsibilities and carry out actions independently. So much so that reports show that agentic capabilities are set to be integrated into 40% of enterprise software. Traditional cybersecurity isn't built for autonomous AI. They weren't really built for AI systems that can reason, make decisions, access sensitive data on their own, which is a whole different animal. So here's how it works. Neo's platform automatically maps AI agents, AI-powered apps, browser extensions, etc., that have acquired agentic capabilities. A continuously updated knowledge base catalogs the capabilities, risks, and behavioral patterns of each component, allowing security teams to understand what every AI-enabled tool can do. Now, they've raised over $100 million, and a key reason is the founders have a relatively good track record in history. They've worked at big firms like Palo Alto Networks and Wiz themselves. Now, there's an AI shift moving from answering questions to making decisions. Now, in the same way, security is moving from what someone can see to what AI can decide and do. That's all for now. Please like and subscribe, drop a comment for which startup you think is the best, and I'll see you soon.